Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness with your luscious hostess, May Vu, broadcasting live every Monday at 12 noon Pacific Time.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness. This is May. I am so excited about my debut show today. I just got to take a deep breath here. I have a whole host of friends joining us on the call today. These friends are personal friends of mine and also will be future guests on our show, talking about really wonderful, delicious, everyday conversations around our sexuality and our relationship to our sex. And before I start bringing them in, I want to just take a moment to set the tone on why this show for me. I have been I've been looking to find a way to talk about sex and sexuality, and actually also about relationship, so that we can and leadership, so that we can really bring this big old conversation together. And I have had so many good conversations in my car with different friends on different trips that every time we have those conversations, I'm like, oh, I got to have this recorded somehow. So now I'm like enrolling each one of them to come on and do a show with me so that we can have it recorded and so that the world can hear about this. And my show is not going to be an expert show. It's not going to be me interviewing other experts out there and hearing, how we should do sex or how we should do relationship, but it's actually just with conversations with friends and lovers and wannabe lovers and whatever, just to just talk and to share what's it like to be human and have this thing called our sex, in the way or around us or part of us, and it's such a part of our life. So that's what I'm excited for, and I just know that these conversations will be really luscious. So I'm going to start bringing in some guests and let them introduce themselves and what show they're going to be part of. And so first I'm going to bring in my guests for the shows next week. We'll have Anne Boland and Stephanie Rainbow Bell. So Stephanie and Anne, you're live.
Well, hello there.
So one at a time. I'll start with.
I was just going to say I'll go first. So this is Anne. Thank you for letting us be on this show. I love the idea. I love the topic. I love the idea that this is about having just normal conversations with people and that it's not taboo. The radio show that I'll be on, or the topic that I'll be talking about, or that we'll be talking about, and I think the title may have changed, but it's about large women and their appetite for sex. So I'll be speaking from the perspective of an overweight person and how it is that you could or should or want to refer to me, and making that more of a comfortable way to refer to larger women, and then also talking about women and their bodies and how sometimes that can get in the way of having a sexual relationship or having an intimate relationship with somebody. And then I think May also mentioned the part about, and then how do all the parts fit together. So we'll definitely be talking about that as well.
That's the part of me that, it was so funny. I'll bring you in a second, Stephanie. And the part of me when I was sitting down to write the blurb for your show, I was like, can I say larger size woman? Can I say fat in public? Can I write such thing? I just realized how conditioned I was to avoid, to pretend like I don't see your fatness, I don't see my fatness, like it's like some taboo that I don't get to talk about, and that if I do, I'm bad and wrong. And so anyway, I got a glimpse of my own ignorance and my own edges around this topic, and And of course, the curious part of me too is like, it always comes up, right? We're like, well, how do two large size people see? I still can't say fat people do it, So anyway, I want to have a really intelligent conversation around it, a really meaningful conversation. And I also want to like stir it up a little bit and, and see what it's all about. What's it like in your bedroom? And thank you, Anne, for your spaciousness and generosity to like be so okay with that.
You're welcome.
Let's see. I see that there's a yellow bubble. I'm learning how to run the board too, by the way. I see a yellow bubble on Sherry Ann's, and I wonder if she's trying to talk, and that's why. So I'm going to just put her on. Your mic is on, Sherry Ann, and then Stephanie, you're on too. So Stephanie, you're also part of the call for the larger size woman call.
Yes, I am.
Tell us a little bit about why you want to be part of that conversation.
I was excited to be part of that conversation because I am starting a movement about plus-size acceptance, being that there's nothing wrong with being plus size. There's nothing wrong with being fat. There's nothing wrong with having a different size shape than what society considers norm. So I'm part of the whole conversation that just says, we're people just like everybody else is people, and sure, we're going to have sex lives, and we're going to have family lives, and we're going to have all kinds of things. And there are some interesting issues that come up because of our size, but it's no more interesting than, somebody who's a little short and has to get an extra step stool to reach the top shelf. We all find accommodations for the things that make us unique. But that doesn't mean that we're an outcast. So that's my platform.
Thank you. Lovely. So anyway, I just know that I just feel so rich just hearing that, and I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about this topic, and we both start laughing and realizing that, this doesn't matter what size we're in. I know that for me especially, I always feel fat. I still feel like I'm not skinny enough, so it doesn't matter what dress size I'm in.
And that's a big issue with women generally, so, and part of my mission is to help relieve all women of that guilt and shame and self-loathing about their body size. But having been a very large plus-size woman for most of my 57 years, I've got the most experience to talk about how it is getting through life as a fat person.
I would love to know. Thank you. Thank
you. You're welcome.
For your upcoming honesty. All right, and then let's see. I have other people on the line. I'll go down the line. Then I have my best friend, Sherry Ann. And Sherry Ann is a 4-time cancer survivor. And so when I was creating the show, I invited Sherry Ann. I'm like, Sherry Ann, would you like to talk about what's it like, with sex for you after cancer? So she goes, sure.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Sherry Ann Tom, and I love hearing what Stephanie and Anne were talking about, the self-loathing and how the pieces fit together. And there's so much similarity when we're talking about people who are talking or considering or thinking about or trying to have sex after cancer, because there is this, it's not a stigma, this feeling that I'm not quite whole, that I'm kind of broken, and who's going to love me and who will want to touch me, and do I want them to touch me because that doesn't feel so good, or that kind of hurts, or I'm embarrassed about what my body looks like now. There's so many of those insecurities about who we are, especially sexually, and it's this huge amount of guilt that we have, I think, well, for me, that I carry, especially when dealing with my partner. It's like, I'm so sorry. it's not the right day, or I'm not really feeling up to it, but I want that intimacy, and I want to pleasure him, and I want him to pleasure me. And so how do you do that when the parts don't feel right and you don't feel right? Like that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. I keep because we have had some conversation around this. The word dryness keeps coming up. Both.
Oh my goodness! And it's not just women in general deal with the dryness when menopause happens, and now we compound that with some kind of medical ailment and treatment that sends us all the way to the end of the spectrum of dryness. It's what else could happen? You think you're fine, and then you find out sex is not fun anymore? What? Yeah.
And it feels like such a big metaphor too, like dryness in your vagina, and then dryness in your relationship, and like it's hard to reconnect after cancer.
Right. Oh, it touches all the levels. It's not, sexuality, I think, like what you say, May, is a wonderful entrance to everything else.
And then we have Peter. I just heard your laughter on the call.
Hi, May.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here with all of you. So I'm in training now to be a slow sex coach, and I'm about halfway through, which means I'm in this really dangerous position of knowing a little bit. So I'm just thinking, I guess I'm the male perspective here. What did you call my show? It's like boys and sex?
Boys and sex.
Okay, I'm 26. I'm not quite a boy, but I appreciate it.
Well, that's another topic for me. Why do we keep calling women girls? So that's why I have to call you boy.
Just get back at me.
Because you're younger, I can pick on you.
That's great. So I guess I'll talk about my attraction to older women then.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what we'll talk about. I'm sort of figuring everything out, like what sort of relationships I want, what sort of sex I want to be having. And I'm living in a community of people who are trying all sorts of stuff, including a practice called orgasmic meditation. So I'm really opening the floodgates and seeing what feels authentic for me and what feels good. And I recently counted the men's groups I'm in. I'm in 4 men's groups right now. So a lot around, both women and what it means to be a man in relation with women, and finding my own, power through my sexuality and how that has to do with purpose and career and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah. What I want to talk about.
That's part of it. Anything else, May?
Well, when I was inviting you and a couple of other people, actually, I also envisioned a call on just to hear from the men's side your beauty. I want to replace the ugly image about men just want sex, they don't care about women, they only watch the games and drink beers and all that stuff, And I want to make space for these beautiful men that I know in my life to speak, so that you guys can educate us. What's it like, to be you in relationship to us women, in relationship to yourself and to the expectations of society, all that stuff that you started touching on when you were talking. I just want to replace our opinion about men.
Yeah, that's good. I think our culture sort of polarizes men into, assholes and then nice guys. And the nice guys you never want to fuck, and the assholes are just bad. And I think I and the men around me are trying to reinvent what it means to be neither of those two camps.
Yeah.
And figure out what that means. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. This is fun.
Yep. Thank you. Let's see, who else? I have your mic all open, and you guys are so good at keeping it quiet on your end. So whoever feel compelled to speak or introduce yourself, please just say something.
Hi, it's Sally and Natalie. Hi.
Sally and Natalie, where are you guys today?
We're in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Uh-huh. Well, let me just a little introduce to my friends Sally and Natalie. Sally and Natalie are 30-something women decided to give up all their belongings and put themselves into a motorhome and is driving across the country on an adventure to show the world how to live the way you want to live. And
that's right.
yeah, and it's so great that you guys are speaking next, because right after Peter is like Sally and Natalie. I want them to do a show on women in that 30-something, still on the hunt, still looking for a partner in life, and but have no ties down, no restriction, and see what you guys do with your life out there in the RV.
Well, yeah, and I love that you said that, May, because, and this is Natalie, by the way, because a lot of, I think, what we're learning here, and it's the same when it comes to sex and relationships, is that, you can have it look any way that you want. There's not one clear-cut path to sex or to relationships, and it's like figuring out what path you want to create with it, what relationship you want to create with it, and we all have our edge as well. What might be, for me, an edge might be someone else's, comfort zone. So it's a lot of that, like this exploration place. Figure out what works for you, what you want to do, and really have fun and play with it.
And I just want to add to what Natalie said, and I love that she said the word relationship to it, because relationship can mean a lot of things. It can mean your relationship with another person, your relationship with your relationship with your own sex. And it's, it's infinitely interesting, especially being out on the road where none of the same rules apply from home, where if you meet somebody interesting, you can assume that you can see them again. So it's a lot of exploring relationship and exploring our relationship to our own relationship, I guess. There's a lot of relationships in one sentence, but I hope you guys are still tracking.
Hey, give us a little tidbit, because I know my brain goes to projecting and fantasizing and living vicariously in with two beautiful, sexy women like you guys are out on the road in the RV. That you must be having wild and crazy sex out there.
Lies, all lies. Well, you have to remember we share a very small space. Right? It's 2 twin beds in one room. So there's definitely creativity.
That just made my image get even hotter.
Yeah, there's definitely like anything creativity that has to happen,
And we meet a lot of people, and so it's, we have to get creative on how we hang out with them, and
yeah, especially if hopefully we're in a place kind of long enough to maybe see somebody again more than once.
So you do see people.
There has been, yes.
Yay! And what are you finding on the road? Like, how are the men on the road?
Well, actually, I've been really, really pleasantly surprised at how many amazing guys there are out there. I love what you were talking about with Peter, about how guys kind of get polarized into the 2 categories of, nice guys you don't want to be with and assholes you don't want to be with either, but you can't resist. And the more people we meet, the more amazing guys we realize are out there in the world. So it's been so interesting to kind of, you know, I always kind of thought, well, everything I wanted doesn't exist.
Right.
But, you know,
yes.
the kind of person I want to be with is this, and then you see all these guys that have all these amazing qualities, and then there's like numerous amounts of them. And it's like, oh, there's a lot of those guys out there. It's great to see that.
It totally is. I mean, I remember our conversation a long time ago, you know, like what you said, you know, oh, will I ever find that one guy, or, oh, with this guy, it was so great, they'll never be the same again. I'm like, honey, you just don't have a large enough database, you know, like get a kind of data point, and you'll see that they are amazing men out there, and that they're all just want to worship and love us and really cherish us and service us.
Yeah, we've been learning that, and it's been a great lesson.
That's so awesome. Yay. Can't wait to hear more of what you learn.
I know, Miss Nate. We're doing well.
I am going to get it out of you.
I know. She's learning. She's stretching.
Who else is on the call that I haven't introduced yet?
Hey, May, this is Anne again. I just have a quick piece of feedback. It's exciting to know that some of my fans are actually listening in, and the feedback is they're hearing an echo. So I don't know, it might make sense to mute everybody who's not speaking. Just thought I would throw that suggestion out.
Okay, let me see. So I'm going to mute everybody and then see if that solved the problem. And then let's see, somebody's calling in. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, you just missed that one. Okay.
Hello, you cut out. Are you speaking to me?
Who are you?
I'm Mr. Solution. Hi.
Hi.
This is Mia?
This is May.
Oh, May. Okay. Hi.
Nice to meet you. Who are you?
Same here. I'm Mr. Solution. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well.
Okay, excellent. I have a comment to make regarding this male-female dynamic.
I'm bracing myself for you.
Interesting. Yes, I was listening to the lady, and I just looked up the word nice, and she said that, and I like what Peter had to say, by the way, also. She said that she didn't want to date the nice guy and couldn't resist the bad guy. And, you know, my question would be, is she nice? Now, the definition out of Webster for nice is pleasing, agreeable, appropriate, fitting, and socially acceptable, well-bred, virtuous, respectable, polite, and kind.
Uh-huh. And your point is, Mr. Solution? Whoa, where did he go? Did he hang up on himself? Did you hang up on him? No. Okay, we're sorry. We don't know where he went. It wasn't us, I promise.
Hello, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, great. Sorry, I don't know what happened there with your sound.
Okay, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, what I was asking was, is if a woman is nice, given those definitions, why wouldn't she want to be with a nice guy?
Great question. Why wouldn't we want to be with a nice guy? Actually, we do. We want to be with a nice guy, and we want to be with a nice guy that can turn it to be really hot also. But absolutely, nice at the core, we definitely want to be with them. But what I find is that a lot of times men only learn to be nice, but they don't know how to be hot. They don't know how to be commanding. They don't know how to take charge because they were so busy and been trained to be nice. You know, it's almost like their realness, their manhood got taken out from them, and so all that's left is just the nice guy. That's really, really lukewarm, and that's really actually hard to be with. It's so contrary to what most men have been trained out there, you know, to be nice guy, and then but but their hotness got taken away, and then it doesn't work either. Who else is on the line? Stephanie? Oh, yes. Anyone else want to jump in and ask? You guys don't have to be quiet and banter. Oh, because we did mute them, though. This is hard. I don't know how to,
echo.
Okay, here we go. I don't know how they could raise their hand so they can talk, too, Forgive us for...
Now they're open.
Yes. You actually are all, the lines are open again, and let's see if you have any comments or want to join in on the conversation.
Yeah, this is Mr. Solution. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're cutting in and out, so it's really painful. But at any rate, I'll just if I may make another statement, may I?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think the problem is, without a doubt, is poor communication. There's an excellent book called The Myth of Male Power, and it gets into this a lot more. It's by Dr. Warren Farrell, and he talks about this particular issue. But my perspective is that oftentimes women are not very communicative. I'm a relationship troubleshooter, by the way, and I talk about how important communication is, especially early on. And women tend not to engage in communication. It's all implication and innuendo and this type of thing. For example, they don't walk up to a man, given their equality, the feminist movement gave women complete equality, legal and social equality. But women tend not to exercise that in their personal lives. Most women tend to lurk back and wait on the man to do everything. They make him the caryatid, and they just become the judge. In other words, they just exercise veto power. They do not exercise their very appropriate original choice power. They don't talk to men. They don't increase their male IQs just to get to know men. And I think that's a huge problem. What do you think about that?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that dynamic does exist out there, and that's why I created this show, actually, in a fun, light way. I want to address all of that, but not from a way of preaching at them, but I want it to come from everyday conversations.
Right, I understand. And a woman expecting a Superman is really a bit immature. In fact, it's a bit immature.
I have a question for you, Mr. Solution.
Sure.
So, first of all, I actually have a request. I would love to know your first name so I can talk to you like a human to human instead of me to some business entity. Are you up for that?
Oh, sure, it's Richard. But I like Mr. Solution because I like for the mindset to be solution-oriented. But go ahead, sure.
So I just wanted to see if we can connect as a May to Richard rather than May to Mr. Solution, because May can't connect to Mr. Solution. It's just too hard. And I would love it if you would just share with me. I know you don't know me, and I know that this is a live radio show, but I would love to hear, what do you face? Where are you in the relationship spectrum? Are you dating? Are you married? Are you with partner? Or are you single? And if you are, what's it like to be you? Not from a Mr. Solution kind of answer place, but from a Richard answer place, just so that you're part of the community that I'd love to talk more with.
Well, I understand what you're saying. And I'm great. I'm fantastic. I date women. Oftentimes I'm busy, and it's difficult to find, as many guys will explain to you, it's difficult to find a woman to date. Because of the attitudes that women have. They generally don't have that straightforward approach with men as they do with their occupations. So there's a different dynamic when a man is trying to relate to a woman on a personal level. There's oftentimes this avoidance, this non-straightforwardness. And that makes it very difficult for men to really access and communicate with women.
Totally. I totally get it. And is that what you personally also find, that you still run into that with women, and that it takes you, it's like a hurdle to help bring them out, to help to connect with them in a way that would work for you.
Right, and it's too much of a challenge. See, in other words, getting to know someone should be a mutual thing. It should be reciprocal. It should be mutual. And what happens is women have this notion that too many American women, and I notice that's particularly true in America, they want the man to, quote unquote, chase them before there's even an acknowledgement of what their real value or what their real value could be. They want this great expenditure of a man. They want him to, go through this great production, as it were.
That's
and
right.
That's just over the top and not necessary for a conversation, such as we're talking right now. I'm not buying you a drink or buying you a car or paying for your entertainment. We're just being social. And oftentimes that's very difficult for men to do with women because women make it difficult to communicate with him. Not all women, but I would say about 85 to 90% of women.
Absolutely. I totally get it. And what you're speaking to is a dynamic that exists in the culture. It's so ingrained in all aspects of our fabric, of our psyche. It's such a big, hairy topic. And, we're going to go at it one conversation at a time.
And I like your approach. And one other thing I would like to say that's very, very crucial, because I like to keep things very, very simple, and that is, in any relationship discussion, we normally only talk about what the woman wants, what she's not getting from a man or what it is that she wants. But we don't talk about what the men want. And that's partly men's fault. I acknowledge that wholeheartedly. Men generally are not taught to speak up and say what they want from women. And so I'm just going to say it. A man such as myself want women to initiate our social communication and just talk, just like we're doing now, and discover whatever possibilities there may be. So that's the reason I say communicate is the absolute substance of a relationship, and both people have to participate in that.
Yep, and what I love about what you say is that, again, you're helping busting up the notion that men don't know how to talk. They just want to drink beer and watch the game kind of thing. So appreciate what you're taking a stand for, Richard.
Well, you're lovely, and I appreciate your method of interacting.
Awesome. I'm going to bring in another woman to keep the show going. Is that okay?
That's fine. Sure enough.
Thanks, Richard. Another person that's here today is my friend Peggy Frank. Peggy, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I can hear you really well, actually. Peggy Frank lives in the lovely British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada area, and Peggy gets to talk to us about what, Peggy? You want to tell him, or should I tell him?
Oh, I don't mind. It's talking about probably the scariest thing that we can think of, and that's sex when there's a sexually transmitted disease around, like HIV. So living with HIV and talking about your sexuality, it's a very, very hard thing to do.
Totally. I know when I sat down and wrote your introduction for the upcoming show, I had to take many deep breaths and then came out for me. I'm like, we're all, I know for me, I have this big, dark, scary thing in the background going, I want to have sex, I want to have lots of sex, I want to have good sex, but I don't want to catch any disease, and HIV would just kill me, like literally, right? And when I met you and you shared your story with me, and I just almost fell over. So I love it.
Yeah, and it's so many people's story. There's so many people who live with this disease, and it's only part of who we are, and the other part of us is just like everyone else, and that includes us being very sensual, sexual beings.
Yeah, but the coming to peace with that, and the power place that you're sitting right now with it is quite admirable, honey, because I'm sure it took many tears to get there.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I've had 20 or more years of experience.
And then also I wanted to bookmark too that you also are going to introduce me to a friend of yours who live and work in Africa, who created a nonprofit organization to protect girls from mutilation. Do you want to speak some about that?
Yeah, I think you're talking about Agnes Pariaho. Yeah. And I spoke to you a bit about her, and she walked across much of the Maasai land in Kenya talking to communities of Maasai people about the harm that's done by cutting and trying to convince them that women could have a normal engagement into adulthood, to go from girls to womanhood without being cut, without the danger of having their genital areas cut. And so she's talked a lot in her country, and there are other women like her who are doing that really incredible work, talking about the importance of women's bodies as a whole and not mutilated women's bodies.
Yeah.
Really important work.
Yeah, so that's another guest on the future show that I hope to have, and it would be so amazing to talk with her and to get her personal story, and also to get the work that she does out there. So thank you for bringing that to me and to us.
Yeah, and the conversation, I just heard the last conversation that you were having, and I realized that it's communication and the conversations that we have with each other and the ability to reach inside ourselves and open up at a level that it is deeper than we normally open up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. Thank you. Thank you for being you. I don't know what else to say.
It's great to talk to you, and it's great to hear all the diversity of people you've got on the show.
Yes, I know. It's so exciting. Some of the people who are not on the show, I want to talk a little bit about them too. A friend of mine, I'm going to recruit him to talk about stay-at-home dad and sex. How the journey that he had to go through as a stay-at-home dad, and to learn to turn his wife or his partner on when she comes home all masculine and, out there slaying the dragon, bringing home the bacon, and us women, when we are out there working, we get really hard and masculinized and we charge, and it's really hard for us to surrender and be turned on, to surrender and be soft and be wifey and lovers and, sexy kitten in the bedroom, They're like totally stressed out, right? So what does it take to do that role reversal? I think that would be a really fun conversation also. Let's see, what else do I have going on in my... I also recruited a friend of mine who lives in Dubai, and he's a Middle Eastern man, and he's going to talk about sex and being a Middle Eastern man. What do they think about, and how do they treat women, and how do they see women, and how does he see women, and what's his challenge and his aspirations are for a relationship with women. So I don't know. I'd love to. I can't wait to see the differences and also the similarities of, we're just human wanting the same thing. Yeah, and if you guys have some ideas of shows, please feel free to bounce out right now, because I would love to collect those ideas and find guests for them. So that would be great. Anyone have anything?
Yeah, this is Anne. Another idea, May, that you and I talked about was having sex with an older partner. So having that age gap. Right. I don't know anything about that. Me either.
Well, that made me think of also sex. This whole thing about monogamy versus polyamory versus open relationship versus swinger. That's actually someone else has mentioned that too, that we could talk about. What else should we talk about?
Or if anybody else is willing to talk about what happens when the equipment doesn't work, what do you do?
Yes. When the equipment failed to work. I know. It's like we spend all of our time trying to get the equipment together, and then when you get them together, they fail to work. Failure to launch. Bad thing. What else? Your mic are actually all open, so feel free to chime in your opinion if you like. Oh, there was something else somebody wanted to talk about. Sex of an older partner. Oh, yes. I'm going to get my friend. I don't know if I'm allowed to use her name yet, so I'm not going to use her name. But she and her husband has an open relationship, and they have maneuvered through some really rough time to get here. And it's just to hear her describe their relationship is so inspiring. Like, they don't use husband's and wife's name. They use, this is my best friend, and if this is what my best friend wants and needs, then that's what she or he gets, you know. And it's just so touching to hear relationship from that standpoint, rather than what we have called, you know, the relationship that's supposed to be so good and holy, but it's actually a big container to trap and control people, your partner, because of your own insecurities and all that stuff. But that's just my opinion. Oh my goodness, I can just really hang myself on this thing. Okay. Anything else you want to say, Peter, Peggy, Anne, Sherry-Ann, or Stephanie?
I'll jump in. I was
Okay.
thinking about the title of this show, and it'd be fun to have an episode around sex as a spiritual experience, what that means to different people, and how sex fits into other, meditation practices or sort of life path discussions.
Yeah, hooray. Let's get into the consciousness part of it.
Yeah, and I also wanted, after hearing about Richard sharing, I want to have more debates on this. Maybe we have a few sessions that are radio show debates about communication or man-woman dynamics or other controversial topics.
Cool.
Yeah.
Enough of this. Everyone's, right to have their opinion. Let's fight.
Yeah. Fight.
And where's the voice of the same-sex relationships?
I was just thinking that.
All right, cool.
Yes. I don't have that yet. If you have friends who are in same-sex relationship, please bring them on. Tell them to call me. Let's see. I do have friends who are same-sex. I just haven't asked them. The debate thing sounds like really fun. The spiritual thing is such an interesting conversation because I really want to talk about that, and I want to figure out how to do that, not from a place of preaching. Like, there's some way that people who talk about sex as a spiritual journey gets really preachy. When I
said it, I got a little worried. Like, I know what I want it to be, but I don't want it to be new agey and preach. But I would like to hear people's authentic experience of sexual experience that has been felt spiritual.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. I got to jump in here. Maybe this is a debate beginning. Consciousness, having a spiritually aware consciousness during sex changes, can have an impact on the dynamics of the physical experience. And that has nothing to do with preachy or New Age anything.
No. so far you're not stirring up the debate very well.
Well,
I mean, I agree.
Not a debate. I don't believe in debate personally because I believe everybody's entitled to their opinion, so I'm not going to fight anybody else's. But I do want to voice the fact that, you know, there is a consciousness aspect, and I guess my understanding of your show was that was a piece of what you wanted your shows to be about as well, was, you know, how consciousness is raised, or what part consciousness plays in, you know, all of the different experiences we have through life.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think the difference is that I don't want to talk about consciousness. I want consciousness to just happen. Because when I talk about consciousness, it gets heady. But when I sat down and wrote, you know, and your show's thing and realized that I felt inappropriate to write larger sized woman or fat woman and all that stuff. Hey, my consciousness was really rising there. You know, I was like, wow, I got issues. You know, when I wrote that, I'm sitting there going, wow, I just realized that I only think about sex with skinny people. I don't think about sex with fat people. Wow, now there's some consciousness to be had, you know. So that's what I'm trying to do with this show, is how do we have conversation around this so that as we are talking, we go, oh, that's where I'm limiting myself. That's where you're limited in your thinking. And hey, let's open that up a little bit more, you know. Hey, let's be challenged so that we can raise our own consciousness. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I totally get what Peter's wanting, you know, like talk about sex as a spiritual journey and all that stuff. I'd love to talk about that. Anyway.
And this is Sherry Ann. I want to add in another thing of those of us who've been married for a really long time. Let's talk about sex in a long-term relationship. What's that like? And what do we want? And what has changed? And I don't know. So many things can happen from that. But you know, we're like that couple that knows each other so well. So now what?
Yeah. It's hard to make it fun and new and exciting and forgiving and you know, an illusion so that it's all hot and heavy because you just know way too much about the other person.
Right, and what if one changes and says, okay, now I really want to mix it up and stir it up, and the other one goes, no, don't rock the boat.
And that's always happened. Always happened. I hate that. It's never the same at the same time. I would love to have that conversation. Oh, and then I want to know another conversation to have is you and I, when Sharon the other day when we talked about aging and how I was saying as both Sharon and I are Asian women, and you know we still have some hotness to us that we can see, you know, close down the line where we are more mature, and the vision that of other older Asian women in our life has been very asexual and very cropped hair and straightforward and masculine and you know, yeah, and so it's like, wow, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel is kind of dim and bleak.
Do we give up our sexuality as we get older?
Yeah. Sex and aging. Anything else from the younger crowd? You know, like what else can we talk about from the younger crowd? Peter.
As you're talking about aging, I'm like, is it okay that I'm thinking about like, you know, kinky stuff and BDSM, and
Yay!
I'd love to have a show on dominance and submission and play, and we can incorporate aging. That might be interesting.
Yeah. Well, we have to have that show because, you know, in January I'm taking my very first professional dominatrix training class. So, of course I'm going to bring that up.
Great. I just love what a diverse group we have. I think, you know, I've heard other sexuality podcasts, and often they're very, very focused, and it's cool bringing together these different perspectives and seeing how they're going to mix together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't wait. I heard that Nancy's on. Nancy, are you on?
How did you know that was me?
I have a spy.
Well, you were talking about topics, but I really, when Sherry Ann talked about long-term relationships, I think that's a great topic for me. Because when I hung out at One Taste, I had this started questioning why I was staying in it, where am I stuck, and yet there's something so amazing about being with somebody for so long and knowing them. It feels like in a sense sexuality is everywhere. In every part of the relationship, there's such an intimacy. So I think that would be an interesting topic to have.
That's kind of crossover with the spiritual conversation right there, what you just said.
Oh, cool.
You're so good. You were you here for that little piece, the spiritual?
Yes.
Yes.
I've heard the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sex. I love what you said about sex is in every part of your relationship.
I've never really thought about it that way until it popped out just now.
I know, we're all stunned by that. I'm like, wow, Sherry, let's do that and see what you think.
I think it's intriguing from a listener standpoint, too, because I actually don't know what you mean, and so I'd want to hear what you have to say about it.
Sex in every... And, actually, it does totally make sense in every part of the relationship.
It's sort of like it doesn't belong just in the bedroom.
Yeah.
It sort of is. There's such little histories, little jokes, little flowers blooming in the corners that have been planted 20 years ago, and we've taken care of them all this time, and there's something just precious about that. And I really don't know quite where else to go with it yet, but
I do.
Of course you do.
I do. Pick me. 10 minutes before the show, since it's the first show and everything too, there was a little stress over on this side of the microphone, and I called my boyfriend, whom I am in a monogamous relationship with. We don't have the 15-year history, but it feels like we've been with each other a lifetime. Anyway, and I'd asked him to upload the intro to the show. I've asked him to convert the intro to the show, that music and the little clip that you heard when you came on. And he not only converted it, but he also uploaded it onto the Blog Talk Radio board for me. And in that moment, Nancy, I had a mini orgasm, because I was just like, that was the hottest thing that anyone could have done for me in that moment. And I got off on that one. So, it's like, that was better sex in that moment than if he had just taken me and just laid me right there, because I have work to do and I needed this to happen, and he just stepped up and did it. So it's the knowing what you need, and the thinking and the taking charge, and all of that communicates so much. I mean, it's what Richard talks about, right? I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, that was really touching and hot.
Yeah, Mia, this is Richard again. I like that little, what do you call it, Mayan orgasm that you just had, or you're sharing it with us.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, women, can you hear me, by the way?
You're coming across beautifully.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, women could get so much more out of men if there were this intelligent cooperation instead of the, and I'm just going to use the words that I know, because I'm a direct type of person. That's, kind of the way I roll, as they say. And, but see, what happens is women most women don't come with a communicative attitude. Men like to get things done, even when, just like your boyfriend, that you hope you have a monogamous relationship with, and I'm sure you do. I hope you do. But the point
I have a monogamous relationship with.
But I heard you say you hope you do. But at any rate, or words to that effect. At any rate, I'm thinking that a lot of times when I talk to women, like if I'm at a conference or whatever, and we talk about relationships, that's almost inevitable that the conversation gravitates toward relationships. And one of the things women will say is that we don't always want you to fix it. I say, okay, let us know. Let us know that you just want us to listen to you. And that will resolve so many problems, hence the word communication, communication, communication. But oftentimes when men and women get together, they fail to communicate, and they fail to effectively communicate about substantive things, such as sex, division of labor, conflict resolution, which is, it's inevitable wherever you have two people, you're going to have a degree of conflict. But how do you deal with that? Because some people hit that bump in the road, and let me tell you, it's over because resentment and bitterness sets in and all this kind of stuff. So what I say to women, and men, of course, listen to this also, instead of requiring that a man chase you, which is absolutely worthless, have a conversation with the man about things that are meaningful. And in case you guys get in a relationship, you can use those tools. I mean, does that make sense? Do you follow me on that?
It totally makes sense, Richard. And, here's what I'm hearing in your voice, and I don't know if you realize this, but I actually hear a lot of anger that you have toward women and how you've probably been treated by women in the past. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, well, I'm angry at sure, I'm aware of quite a bit. I'm angry at the behavior, and that's appropriate because anger plus love equals action. Many people are stymied vis-a-vis just not knowing what to do. So, sure, I speak with the energy with which I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I come across. That's me. I'm a passionate person. I'm fine, but I'm passionate. I mean, I'm not bitter or I'm not what you call, I don't have deep-seated resentment. I just do get upset with certain issues, and I transform that upsettedness in I'm communicating with you what the situation is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. Sure.
Thank you.
I think you guys have just highlighted something magical, and it's the whole idea of communication is really more than words. It's the way that we say things and the framework that we work from when we're saying things. So it's hard sometimes because we have all of our history, all of the context that we work within behind us as we say things, and then the words come out, and sometimes they don't get heard at all the way that they were intended to be heard.
Yeah, and we just hear the energy, and then we react to the energy, and then off we go. That conversation is now a lost cause.
Right, and part of listening to a person is getting accustomed to their style. I always like to say I dial a person in, and if you are an effective communicator, that's what you do. I mean, as long as the person isn't bashing me over the head with a chair, I mean, there's quite a bit of range as to how a person can express themselves. And I'm always listening to the words. Sure, I can see the body language, but we need to communicate with words. We need to transform our feelings into words.
Okay,
so that the other...
I'm going to have to interrupt you because we have less than 90 seconds left of this yummy show. So thank you everybody for taking the time to show up on the call today and let us know a little bit about who you are and what you're up to with this show, Sex, Lies, and Consciousness. I look forward to our conversations when it's your turn. And everyone, the show is broadcasting live every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness.
Thanks, Maya.
Thank you for listening to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness.
Great show.
You can find May on Facebook by liking her page, Sex, Lies, and Consciousness, or hang out with her on Google+. To find her, type in the URL gplus.to/Mayvu, gplus.to/MAIVU.